You're listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast, the #1 podcast for gaming and hobby banter, with your hosts, Jacob, Greg, and Muddi.
G'day everyone, Jacob Corner here for Power Stance Gaming. Great to be back. Some short 4 weeks since we were last in the studio, lads.
4 weeks.
Yeah, I know. With me tonight is my co-host, Mr. Gregory Millsop.
Good morning.
Mr. Mike Carroll.
How's it going, guys?
And Mr. Josh JT Tiddley. How you doing?
Good, man. Howdy.
Howdy, back at ya. Very appropriate because
Correct.
we have been playing a shit ton of Cowboys lately.
Yeehaw!
There's
good,
always
Greg.
one.
Yeah, it's almost like Muddy's here with us in spirit.
Yeah, where is Muddi?
He's got to work tonight, which is...
Boo.
I think we do need to pour a 40 on the corner for him. This is the first episode he's ever missed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Muddy, the backbone of the cast, is not here. So if it's shit, you know why.
If it's shit and he's here, you also know why.
Yeah. So feel free to let him know just how good the cast was. But yeah, Cowboys.
How good is it?
How good is it? Legends of the Old West cracking out some 2006 era Games Workshop.
Vintage.
Yeah, it's good fun.
I think it's when they're at the peak.
Well, you hit the nail on the head with in a group chat saying the simplicity of the system.
Yeah.
It makes it makes it attractive.
Yeah, it's not bogged down by anything too exotic in terms of crunch or anything like that. It's just, you can do this, roll dice.
Yeah.
You fail, you don't fail, happy days.
There's something just very familiar about a strength 3 weapon on a toughness 3 guy needing a 40 hit that just
Yeah.
feels like home.
It's amazing how quickly my brain unlocked the 2 wound chart.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's still there.
Just instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the stats just you know them pretty much straight away.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. So yeah, no, really enjoying that. And we're about to kick off a campaign. First round draw went up today. So we'll have some updates on the cast about that. So us four are playing, plus Muddy and Nathan as well joining in. So
Big shout out to Nathan. I love the chart you put up in the wanted board. So it's like an Old West.
oh yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
I thought it
I'll
was
put that on the social so people can check it out.
silky skills. Is there
Yeah.
a map? I haven't seen a map.
There's a map.
Yeah, what
Is
do
there
you
a
mean?
map? Oh, right, okay.
There's
You
been
have
a
not been
campaign.
paying attention.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously. Anyway, whatever.
Don't worry.
You even said, "Oh, I want the military camp for your starting
Did I?
location."
Yeah.
Can't confirm.
Wow.
Mm.
Holy hell. All right. Okay.
It's almost like you've had something else on your mind.
There's been a lot going on in the
Yeah.
past few weeks, I have to admit. Yep. Lots of things.
Greg getting distracted. That's
Yeah.
unheard of.
So JT, anything else been going on?
Well, yes, definitely had a bit of Cowboys, which was cool. Myself and Mike obviously smashing out a bunch of Aristea over the past little while, which has been cool. Also played some Infinity and some Infinity Defiance.
What?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a little dive into Defiance later on, get a bit of a scoop because you guys were shipped a copy to review while the Kickstarter was still going, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter's closed. Well, by the time you hear this, dear listener, probably about 4 days ago. But myself and Mike, care of the White Noise guys, who we're recording some content for at the moment, got the demo copy that was flying around. So the same pre-release demo that CB took to the conventions, etc., etc. So we got to have a game of that for about 72 hours before we shipped it off to the Kiwis across the ditch.
Yeah, I made sure that I maximised my time with it, and I took it to Magic Vault that weekend that I had it.
Yeah.
Tried to wrangle some interest for players to come shop and play it, but it was pretty last minute. But I managed to get one mate to come along and play, so we played 2 more games of it. And
Yeah, old
smashed
Chad was lucky enough to jump in with us on the Friday when we first got it and roll on as well, which was cool.
Sorry, you said maximise your time with it.
I maximised it.
Did you take it to bed?
Well, that's a gentleman never talks,
never,
buddy.
never,
It is a big box. Can confirm. You can fit a lot of things in that box.
Really?
Yeah.
We're like the GIs out of Full Metal Jacket. This is my rifle. Instead, this is my box.
Yep.
There are many like it, but that one was Mike's.
It was. It makes me getting the actual prototype box as it was and seeing the size of it makes me excited and also a little bit worried about the size of the shipping container that's going to arrive at my house come time to receive the actual item, because just the core box alone is massive. So plus all the expansions, it's going to be a small freight container to fit it all in when it does arrive. So it should be interesting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So did both of you go for the Kickstarter?
So I threw one measly pound in to get access to the pledge manager, because I am poor at the moment.
Good skills though. Good skills.
Yeah. However, I hopefully we'll be able to back it before the pledge manager closes, which would be cool.
Yep.
And I initially started with just a basic core box, but as the value crept up with the stretch goals, I went up. Okay, jumped into the deluxe, and then in the last week and a half, I jumped onto the platinum, which is the biggest. You get everything.
It's the everything option,
because the value of it is the what you get for your bang for your buck on it is just great.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So you get pretty much an entire Infinity Army plus a little bit more than everything else to play the game to keep you entertained for hours. There's so much content in it. So I think it's 50. We'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
What about you, Grexer?
Well, apart from Defiance, is there anything else you got up to? Because I know you're probably the biggest game in slot we know.
Well, yeah, it's true. Can't confirm.
It's a compliment.
It is.
It is.
He says it from a place of jealousy.
Exactly. Well, it's the small benefit for being single, I suppose, and you play games to your heart's content, then feel miserable and lonely at other times. But no, seriously, Aristeo, of course, with JT. That's always on the top of my shelf gaming wise. But I've also been doing a bit of RPGing. Started 2 Pathfinder campaigns.
Now, I had a little birdie land on my window and told me that our reluctantly RPG shy co-host, Mr. David Muddiman, participated.
There's nothing RPG shy about that boy. He loves it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Kept that on the download, didn't he, mate?
Didn't he? That didn't even make it into any of our chats.
Nope.
I mentioned to him we're playing at Brad's house. Would have been Monday night, and said if you're free, come along. And
I just got the look of shock on Greg's face right now.
Yeah, it's something.
It's almost like finding
he loves it.
He especially loves
that your mistress is married. That's the look on his face right now.
Yeah. Who especially loves Pathfinder 2 because it's far more tactile. You actually have miniatures on the board of terrain and whatnot. And as soon as that started happening, you see his eyes light up. He was into it. And plus, I made a character for him. I made essentially a Spartan. And
of all things.
Yeah.
Did he do the voice the whole time?
He didn't. He was surprisingly into it to the point where he wasn't doing a voice.
Wow.
It was impressive, yeah. He's even going to make it a reoccurring thing when he can fit it around work. So
that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
So David RPG Muddiman, there we go.
Yeah.
He's done a full 180 on that one.
So pretty much a year and a half, 2 years ago, he was like, "No, I'm staying clear of that bad boy.
Never doing it.
Yep, never doing it. Not me. Nope. Next time he'll be coming fully Spartaned up.
He will.
He'll have the
oiled up with his shield.
Yeah.
And
he'll have the togs on.
Yep.
Yeah. His helmet.
Yeah. That's an image I'll never get out of my head.
That's been my gaming anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jealous because I'm mad keen for some RPGs.
Well, it's always
everything going on at the moment.
Invite to whoever wants to show up, and I'm always willing to run games too. Speaking of, I do have, I mentioned it before, the new Cyberpunk Red box set, which is a prequel to the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077, and also a reboot or new edition of the old Cyberpunk pen and paper RPG. So if you guys want to play through that, we can maybe even do it as a live play. I don't know.
Mate, I'm keen. That sounds amazing.
It's a self-contained little adventure, so I mean,
I think you might have to in the new year definitely crack that one out.
It'd be awesome.
That'd be fun. Well, I have been very busy, but I did manage to get. I'm pretty sure we played Rumble Slam in between last episode and now. We played a threesome with old Jono and Mr. Muddi. I'm a good self.
Well, how about Rumble Slam?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you
There's
asked.
a whole bunch of ring jokes as well.
Yeah.
We're a highbrow cast.
No, I
We're
mean,
not
come
gonna
on, we're grown
engage
men.
in
We don't
that.
have to make ring jokes. Come on.
That's exactly the reason we have to make jokes.
Anyway, the long story short is I was expecting to get ganged up on because, as you all three of you know,
We
Greg,
hate your
in
list.
Muddi's-
Talking about Rumble Slam, buddy.
As
Wait.
all you know, the Rotters are undefeated. It's a term I don't like to throw around too often. But yeah, for some miracle, the boys walked out triumphant against Muddi's Lizards and Jono's Humans.
Did they
So-
walk out triumphant, or did they sit in a corner triumphantly?
You're
Yeah.
splitting hairs there, I think, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
I
that
mean, it's
checks
all
out.
much of a muchness.
I'll
But
have to-
basically, Jono came over, picked on me, and I just taught him who's boss. Just showed him.
I'll have to check with Muddy to see if the video footage shows if he actually added up a full roster this time instead of.
Oh, yeah.
He did?
Oh, sorry, he's playing halflings. No, he's playing
Oh.
halflings, not lizards. That's right. Who are unbelievable.
No, they're not.
No,
Oh,
they're
they
not.
are.
No, they're not.
No, they're
They
not.
are.
No.
They got this little because they can jump over off each other's shoulders, and they got this little guy who does like why born our listeners too much. So you know, Trihorn's extinction event. It's called a mini extinction event, but it's actually better. I figured that one out. It just blows my mind. But it basically rolls like 6 dice. It's incredible. Like you look at me as if it's not good. It is unbelievable.
I've played halflings twice in one-on-one matches and once in a multiplayer game. The one-on-one matches, I beat them losing one wrestler once and a clean sweep the next. So I'm not particularly sold on them. And I'm not a good player. I'm going to put that out there.
I think. Well, look, the fact that I'm not too sure if that whoever you played against was doing the climbing up the shoulders trick, but essentially all of them can just bounce off each other's shoulders. It's incredible. So it's like a turnbuckle move. Each of them can do a turnbuckle move. It's unbelievable. I know you're not sold. Anyway,
Have you ever watered your dog before?
I'm sure the listeners can't hear that.
That's the loudest dog drinking I've heard.
It's been going for like 10 minutes.
Well, his door is
He's
open.
actually in the pool. The covers come off the pool.
He's trying to like not have drink so he won't drown.
Should explain that we've got the doors open in my house and the dog just lives outside. our
Lives in the
door.
water bucket. He's your amphibious seal.
I thought I saw a beach ball out there before.
Okay, for everyone listening, that's the dog. Our dog's name's Barney, so that was Barney. All our listeners, you just met Barney.
All right.
So yeah, did that and Wild West, and there was something else. Oh, Fallout. We played Fallout, which was awesome.
We did have a game of Fallout, yeah.
So good.
It was we played a multiplayer game. It was 3 against the AI,
Yeah,
and yeah, it was very interesting.
we smashed the AI,
We did smash the AI.
who was also known as Jono.
Yeah, so Jono controlled the AI, and I think he was getting quite a bit frustrated because the AI kept doing things that Jono never would have done.
Yeah, yep.
But we made him do it anyway. It was hilarious. So
He was grumbling about that a couple of days ago. I met up to play Legion, I think, with him at Muddy's house. He's like, I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there. Right? It's like, yeah, you're playing the non-player character.
He probably still has nightmares about it. God damn it!
I think he blames
So
himself.
constricted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
constricted.
We'll have to get him onto Defiance. He can play a different AI deck.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see if he enjoys it a bit better.
I definitely stacked the lists in the good guys' favor. The
Yeah.
super mutants were a little bit outgunned.
Yeah, you're a power armored dude with his like assault cannon-y thing.
The Gatling laser.
Yeah, just
Did you
wrecked.
finally manage to land one hit after you?
I did.
800
I actually.
burst?
Yeah, it did some good stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Greg-
it's been due.
Greg's Minuteman, Soul Survivor,
Yep.
had the artillery grenades that we've never seen before. And what'd you do with it?
I missed.
You missed.
Did he fumble it?
Yep.
And blow up his own Minuteman?
No, it just doesn't go off.
Oh, okay.
So this big fancy super weapon that no shit, 6 turns in a row. He's like, I'm gonna throw it. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
And in the last turn, he's finally got the kahunas up to throw it, and rolls a miss. It was the most anticlimactic thing.
Yeah.
That's something to talk about, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Failure is always fun.
But
to
it was
talk
fun,
about.
and we it was the first outing of the settlement that I made out of the pylon from BP Laser.
It did look
Yeah.
amazing.
They got a lot of love on the socials. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great bit of kit because
Mm.
it's big enough that you can really work in and around it.
Yeah.
Some of the other pylons out there are quite spindly,
Mm.
and it's sort of, when I think of that, the settlements from Fallout 4, it sort of jumped to mind as being a good option. So, yeah, and I think it looked pretty.
Looked awesome. It looks so good.
You're choking up just
So-
thinking about it.
That's a
Real,
good pile-on.
real tearjerker.
Just crack it out for
bit
our,
emotional.
crack it out in our cowboy games. That's accurately, historically accurate, isn't it?
I'm good. I'm back. It's all right. So yeah, so that was fun, and yeah, Fallout's a great game. I'd love to get more of it out.
Such a good system. It's such a mental system.
Yeah,
You know, with that cockeyed D20.
That dice does my head in. Every time I look at it, I'm like,
They're not 20s, they're 12s, aren't they?
No, there's a
the
D20 in there
white
too.
dice is
Oh,
D20.
the white's a D20, yeah.
Yeah.
Has all the wackadoo numbers on it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what's
All the-
going
all
on
the
here?
college shit's
The skill
12s.
dice.
Yeah.
And all the modifiers just blows it right out to
Yeah.
being weird.
I rolled a 17.5 and a Coke bottle. I was like, what does that equate to? I missed.
Nothing because you missed. yeah.
It was good though. It was good fun. All right. So, do we have any news tonight, Greg? Or are we straight in the meat and potatoes?
Straight into it. I didn't get a chance to do news.
Straight into the meat and potatoes
That's
on
all right.
Kickstarter.
Well,
I do have one. Well, it's something you're talking about. What we've been up to.
yeah, yeah.
Got a confession to make.
Oh,
Okay.
So
don't look at me like that when you say that.
So it's not technically my fault. I'll just start that.
That's
right?
how all good confessions start.
Put that disclaimer out there right
Your
away.
Honor,
Yeah.
I'd like to plead that it's not technically my fault.
So, I have a penchant, shall we say, when we do the news, to maybe pick on the odd Kickstarter, maybe the odd unusual one, for example. And the other day, I went to a game shop that was closing down near us, and just to see what the crack was. Anyway, got some paints and stuff. Young fella saw this game, and I thought, oh yeah, like why not? Let's get it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? That game was called Exploding Kittens.
That's a fucking
Yeah.
good game.
Yeah, so we got that.
Which
And
version?
It is awesome.
It's great, isn't it?
It's such a cool game. I'm so annoyed with myself.
I would like to think I've been telling you for about 9 months to a year that Exploding Kittens is a great game. Every time you bring up stereotypical cat games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but we're all different. You know what I mean? And your style of game is perhaps a little bit different to mine. Maybe when it comes to board games, at least.
When it
That's
comes
what
to,
I thought.
when it
That's
co-
why I justified.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way you thought about it.
Yeah. So I feel really guilty and bad that we've got this game and enjoy it. For all those games that we've maybe on the cast we've maybe
Don't be
not
saying this
given a
we
fair
business.
go, shall we say?
Yeah, it's not a wee thing.
Yeah.
So to make matters worse, we've got Exploding Kittens, and the young fella
Did you get the expansion?
now wants
Unstable,
Unstable
unicorns.
unicorns.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I've played that. It's
Yeah,
pretty not bad.
right. So anyway, it may
Yeah.
have arrived the other day.
nice.
Just quietly, he's upstairs, so I have to be a bit quiet.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, I'm well down that rabbit hole now.
Nice.
That's right.
Was Exploding Kittens a Kickstarter, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first version, yeah.
What was it, 7 million, I think it raised.
Gee.
Yeah,
It was a while ago
it was a
now,
lot.
7 million for a $30 card game.
It's a
I've
big,
I've never played it.
I've got a copy upstairs.
Well, I think everyone I know has a copy of it. It's like one of those games I've never played for some reason.
It's a good stocking stuffer. Last Christmas,
Yeah.
I gave it to 2 different family members.
Yeah.
Interesting. Remember that.
Yeah, it is a good pick up and play, I got to admit.
Yeah, so that's my confession over. That's it.
Mate, you don't need to be ashamed for playing pick up and play card
Playing a
games.
game
No.
with bloody kittens in it.
The
Yeah,
other,
but
the other
they're
one,
exploding.
yeah,
It's true.
If you want to get away from the sarcastic cat-based ones, pick up code names as well. Give that a crack.
And Secret Hitler. Secret Hitler is sensational. It's really, really good.
Secret Hitler.
Secret Hitler, yep.
Right.
Check it out. It's not one you want to play with the kids. Well, you could. There's no like, you know, apart from the name of it, there's no like a super offensive themes to it.
Yep.
But it's definitely more one of those games you'd play it with like-minded people, and you have a real hoot as you try and work out who Hitler is. It's one person at the table is randomly assigned to be Hitler, and then half the party approximately is divided up into 2 parties. One of them being the good guys, and one of them being the Nazi sympathizers, and they have to work together to not have Hitler discovered. and no one knows who each other is. It's a whole lot of backstabbing and hilarity. Yeah, it's a really good game. It's solid.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I played it. Thinking it was just going to be another like Night of Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah.
But I actually preferred it over Night of Ultimate Werewolf because it had a little bit more structure.
Okay.
And it was less. It was very hard to just get yourself stuck into a corner where you're just arguing over nothing.
Yeah.
This thing actually forces you into a direction and
Yeah.
path through various game mechanics. That's quite good.
That is the one thing with Ultimate Werewolf. You can immediately fall into an argument over semantics in like one sentence.
And I find with Ultimate Werewolf, if you play the same sort of circle of people,
yeah.
people go, "You're the werewolf." It's like, just because I was a werewolf last 3 games doesn't mean I'm the werewolf now. It's like, well, chances are you're the werewolf. Well, technically, chances are I'm not the werewolf. But
Yeah.
but whatever. Then come into the game, you convince them that you're not the werewolf, then you reveal that you're the werewolf. And it only heightens their distrust.
Or you play
I experienced that game.
Play a game like that with Brad and just don't trust him regardless of what you think.
Yes.
I got a confession, mate.
Oh.
I don't like werewolf.
Which
Not
one?
a fan.
The long form or the small one?
I've only played the one that just goes forever.
Yeah, there's one Night Ultimate one, which is far shorter. It's
Yeah.
condensed. It's like 10-minute game time.
Okay.
It's really good. The original one, which is the long one, it does go forever. I'm not a big fan of that one myself. It's just the small one, short and sweet. Gets it over and done with.
Yeah, that might be more tolerable, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those ones though that is going to become exactly whoever's playing it.
Yeah, it
Like-
absolutely is.
Yeah.
You got to pick your party for that game.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I feel like that would become intolerable real quickly with the wrong mix of
Yeah.
people. Not even the wrong people, the wrong mix. But yeah. Anyway.
I did pick up the Disney code names at the game closing.
Nice.
Their closing down sale.
I'm
I
guessing it functions exactly the same.
I don't know. It's going to be a present.
I love Codenames. It's one of my favorite board games. Like just the vanilla one, I just love that so much. I can just play it for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, normie Codenames, like the Game of the Year edition from 2015 or whatever it was, is the
Yeah.
one I've used to convert a few of our non-gaming friends to pick up and play card games. That was the way in.
Well, I played the adult one not a little while ago, and it was terrible because it was super hard to make
Any reference?
references because it's like it's penis shaped.
Yeah.
And there's like a million penis shaped things on the board. It's
Yeah.
like you can't narrow anything down.
Yeah.
It's just not good. It's like all right,
Actually
whatever.
ruins the function of the game.
It does.
Yeah.
It just destroys the function of the game. It's like, okay, once you get over the giggle factor because you're seeing dildo and
Yeah.
vibrator,
Yeah.
and it's just like, all right, whatever. Can we just play the normal one now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually do have one piece of news.
Oh, yeah.
Something that we've sidestepped.
What's that?
Disney Plus.
Yeah, I got to say.
And how it got immediately breached in Australia and all the passwords were sold.
What?
Yeah.
Classic.
Really?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, just
Yeah.
Google it and I'll just get... Really? You heard it right? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Like 99% of the people on the 7-day free trial. So-
Yeah.
But
Cool.
there is one thing we should briefly discuss on that. Have you seen it yet, JT?
What are we talking about?
Mandalorian?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well,
This weekend.
Well,
it's getting
there
fun.
are
you haven't
obviously
seen it either yet?
No.
Oh,
50% of the
Wow.
people in the room are cultured individuals that appreciate fine television programming.
I'm waiting until I'm on leave to be able to
You hurt.
watch it.
You really hurt.
And there's someone in the room that likes the Venga Boys. So
Hey, don't be grouping me like that. That's some racist shit.
You know,
Do
I
it-
was chatting to somebody the other day.
yeah.
Actually, a work person. We're at a do the other day, and she went to Venga Boys.
Yeah.
Said it was unbelievable. I was like, what? Oh, so missed out. So, I knew I should have gone.
You should have gone.
Should've
I
gone.
was going to buy you guys tickets, but Muddy's like, don't, because I won't fucking go.
What? Ah, that's
I saw him tear the tickets
Muddy.
up.
Yeah.
You're such a turncoat. When you listen to this, such a turncoat.
He said that, then immediately came over an RPG. It was a real turn of events.
And then cheered for the All Blacks in the footy. Yeah.
And then started playing Aristeo too. He said Rumble Slam is not a sports game.
Not a true sports game.
Doesn't have a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then he jumped into Aristeo. We played the ball version,
Played
and he
capture the
was
flag
sold.
and
Yeah,
he gets it.
Yeah.
He's turned.
yeah.
But anyway, The Mandalorian's good.
Yes, it's very good. Some of the best Star Wars that's been put out. Like I've liked every single bit of Star Wars things that has been produced. Some people don't. That's their call, but I know I do. But The Mandalorian, I think, is the most, in my opinion, it feels like the most genuine Star Wars live action thing we've gotten. It just feels like Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back 30 years later.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With our modern visuals and great acting.
Yeah.
So straight away in your top 5 Star Wars
We're only 2 episodes in, and it's already up there for me. Like
Yeah.
those 2 episodes were that impactful in terms of like delivering the Star Wars feels.
Yep.
That I just cannot wait for that 8th episode and what it's going to end like.
Slightly, it's related, but slightly off topic. We're watching the news today, we're having dinner, and on the TV it came up. Rogue One was on TV tonight, and my young fella turned around and said to me, "Best Star Wars movie ever."
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I thought that's interesting.
Of the modern stuff, as in, I don't know, last decade, whatever we're calling modern at
Yeah.
this point,
Yep.
it's the best piece of content.
It is
Yeah.
good.
Having not yet watched the quarter of
Mandalorian.
a season of Mandalorian that's out, best piece of content, yeah.
But the Mandalorian, it speaks volumes to I think that Star Wars has found its place in the modern era, and I think it's best suited for TV and in 30-minute episodes like the Mandalorian does. It's episodic and it's a fun, like popcorn adventure the whole way through.
Oh, wow.
And it's sort of feels, because when George Lucas made the original Star Wars film, he was, he made it feel like you're watching an episode of Flash Gordon or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like that. It's that space adventure. You sit down, you watch it in a short period of time, you have a great time doing it. You don't get too wrapped up in some sort of like...
You're there for the ride, not the destination.
Exactly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in that saying that, the ride is amazing,
Hmm.
but it feels like it's how Star Wars has always meant to be,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Can I just do a brief shout out to IG-11,
Ugh.
to the best droid ever?
Wow.
You guys need to see it so we can talk about it. Actually, everyone listening needs to see it just to see IG-11. Even if you don't like it for whatever reason, because you're a weirdo, whatever, IG-11 is hands down the best droid in Star Wars.
And I said this to you last night, that when I was a kid, my cousin had an IG-88 droid, one of the Kenner ones, I think.
Yep.
And like the hips, the shoulders, the head had 3 different swivels in it. So the whole thing moved.
Dynamic movement, yeah.
And but it was all on the one axis. They're all spinning on the one axis. And when I saw IG just cut and sick, I'm like, oh.
You know what it reminded me of? Stop animation. Even though it wasn't,
Yeah.
but it had that sort of fluid momentum that
Hmm.
only stop animation can deliver, and how he, without spoiling how he functions, feels that... I don't know how to even describe it.
Yeah.
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 Just watch it.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
It's they needed this, didn't it? Like Star Wars, maybe not so much
Well-
Disney, but certainly the Star Wars universe, and I guess the Star Wars fans needed this
I
to be a
think
success.
we're finally getting Star Wars that isn't trying to hold on to the Skywalker legacy.
Mm.
Come Rise of Skywalker, the Skywalker legacy will be on pause, even though they're saying it's the final one, but it won't be. Give it 5 or 6 or 7 years, and we'll get another Skywalker legacy story at some point. But I think once they can finally hang up those gloves, move the story along, and there's going to be also a lot of material in Mandalorian and upcoming stuff that all ties everything together. So there's a lot of context missing. That
Yeah.
so look at the Marvel films. When you went back 10 years ago with the Marvel movies, there was a lot of context missing. Now everything's come out with the Avengers and etc. Everything, you got a complete picture. Come Mandalorian plus the other stuff they're developing, and then Rise of Skywalker, I think we're going to see a very, very intricately woven web of things. So that's always been there, especially if you follow all the extra extended lore in the books and comics. There's a heap of stuff there that a lot of people just gloss over because not everyone reads the books and stuff like that and follows the lore that deeply until it comes onto screen. And the Mandalorian, without spoilers, in the first episode, the first 10 minutes of the first episode reveals a big plot point, which could have massive ramifications to every bit of Star Wars lore post that time period.
But it's like 5% of people watching will see it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
but thanks to social media, a lot more people will know about it because it'll get shared around and whatnot. So it's interesting. And I think once they start spelling it out in the later episodes, it'll become very, very clear. But
Yeah.
the fact it's there from episode 1 of the series, it's great.
Very exciting.
Mm.
Can't wait. Gonna fire it up this weekend.
Yeah.
Episode
cool.
3 is Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we'll get 3
We got
episodes,
3
in
episodes.
on Saturday.
Yeah,
Look at
no, it's
that.
worth it. And 30-minute chunks. It's
Yeah.
just digestible. It's great.
It's interesting. I didn't expect the 30-minute
No, I
episode slots.
was expecting like 40, 45 minutes.
No, I expected the hour and 5 style with only 8 8-episode season. I really expected the hour and 5 real long slug Netflix style.
Give me 30-minute episodes with no filler.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what I want.
Yeah.
There's no wheel. That's a great point. There's no wheel spinning at all. Most TV today, Game of Thrones, any HBO big stuff, AMC, whatever. You take out the wheel spinning in those episodes, and they're about 20, 30 minutes long.
Or as my boys like to call it, the talking.
Yeah. Well, talking's great. Like, in the early seasons of Game of Thrones, the talking and dialogue was the best part of that show.
Yeah, totally.
correct.
Until they discovered tits and murdering, and there's no reason to have a story. That happened in the later couple of seasons. But, yeah, when it's just dialogue that doesn't serve a purpose, then, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
But The Mandalorian has none of that. It's just content from the first second to the last second. You immediately want to watch the next episode.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Should we jump into the content?
Maybe.
All right,
Our main segment.
let's do it.
You're listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast. Time for a Power Stance game review.
Alrighty, so the first topic on the list tonight is Defiance. So we've already had a brief little chat about it, but while we've got both Mike and JT in the house, we thought, well, let's get them to, I don't know, do their thing and spread the love. So,
Talk the Defiance.
boys, take it away. Tell us, give us the lowdown.
Well, Greg, I'll give you some stats first because I know you like your Kickstarter stats, right? So, the campaign has now closed. Ran for 21 days. Goal was €100,000. They raised 1.14 million, so 1,140% funded, which is pretty huge. 5,300 backers over the lot. And the interesting thing I thought about that, so they did 4 pledge levels with reward, right? Core box was 100. The collector's pledge 160. The deluxe pledge 180, and then the platinum was 250. So, of those backers, more than 2/3
This is the impressive part.
went the platinum.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That never normally happens.
No,
The big expensive one gets the...
gets the
That's a lot of gear for
lion's
them
share of the
to
backers.
punch out.
Yeah.
Lot of
So
money
by the end of the stretch goals, that top level pledge is getting about 60 Corvus Belly quality miniatures, plus about 1 pine tree's worth of cardboard literature
Wow.
to go with it.
Yeah.
And a pallet to ship it on, I'm assuming, at this point. Crazy value, though. And it makes sense what the backers have done because the value is exponential in each one.
Based on Infinity and based on a blister for Infinity, I know that they do double minis per blister, but say we take a single one, it roughly retails for 10 Aussie, roughly.
Yeah, if we're talking local currency, you'll probably... Well, you get a double blister for probably about $20, yeah.
Yeah, so times by 60, that's rough maths, without everything, all the...
Other bits.
The bits.
Yep.
$600 worth of miniatures right there.
For $408 before you even get the
Before you
Defiance
get your gear.
stuff. Yeah, correct. So
Unreal.
it's amazing value, and that's something me and Mike talked about for quite a while as the campaign was progressing and all the stretch goals kept coming out that were adding content that was often free, meaningful content to that top-level pledger.
Yeah.
On that note, I know me and Mike spoke about it as well, they ran quite a smart campaign in the sense that it was easy to follow. There's only 4 levels. Every stretch goal told you if you had to buy it, if you got it for free, what it was.
Yeah.
It's all pretty straightforward. There's no string map required to put together your pledge.
Yeah.
Which is honestly a massive selling point. I know as soon as I see a complex Kickstarter, I immediately get put off by it because I'm like, if I can't understand it, I'm giving you the money and you guys are creating it. Do you guys understand it?
Yeah.
And I'm only seeing the surface level of what's going on behind the scenes. So I can only imagine the chaos you could create for yourself if your campaign's complex.
Mm.
Yeah.
Perfect example of that is the BattleTech 3050 campaign, the Clan Wars one for Kickstarter. Went gangbusters, like $3 million US, something like that it got. Which is so much money for a BattleTech thing. I don't know where all these people came from, because I didn't think there's that many BattleTech players in the world, but apparently there is. But dude, I couldn't understand that Kickstarter. Like, I had to like try and break it down. I still couldn't work out what they were talking about. They had all these references to different things, and like, unless I sat down and read every bit of fine print on the Kickstarter, I wouldn't know what I was getting. And that was honestly, because I was on the fence about backing it for so long, because that's one of the BattleTech miniatures. I love MechWarrior and BattleTech, and the value for miniatures you got was okay. I think I'm not certain how many miniatures I was getting because I couldn't work out the Kickstarter, and because of that, I didn't back it. And if I didn't do that, I can imagine there have been a handful of a fair few people as well that didn't do it for the same reason. But the Defiance and with Corvus Belli with Defiance, they obviously chose the smart, clean, elegant route, and I think that might have added to their success.
Yeah. No, I got to agree. They did quite well. For anyone who's been living under a rock or is not a Corvus Belli or Kickstarter person, what it is it is their first foray within their universe into a dungeon crawler style game. So Infinity, the main game most people would have heard on the cast at least once, is a specific sci-fi universe skirmish game with ostensibly you only need 10 miniatures.
Yes.
How many miniatures you got, Greg?
Oh, no idea.
10.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Definitely not 10.
But
Easily over 50, maybe
Yeah.
close to 100.
But you started with 10 and you bought into the
Most
lie, didn't you?
definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, correct.
I didn't even start with 10. I probably started with 15.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because it's only 15, right?
Yeah,
It's only
yeah.
15. That's all I need.
That's fine.
Next minute.
Yeah. So set in that same universe, it's a cooperative dungeon crawler versus a AI deck. And that was kind of their unique selling point, that it's a differentiator in their gaming universe with an AI deck.
And it does share its core fundamentals of the game, like the gameplay. It's based off, instead of being based off Infinity's gameplay, it's based off Aristea's gameplay in terms of that it uses the fancy dice that Aristea uses and a lot of the same game mechanics like switches and etc. if you're familiar with Aristea.
Interesting.
Which is good, because as good as a great of a game as Infinity is, it's definitely a game which doesn't lend itself to an AI-based game.
No, and it has a high barrier of entry with
really
its rules
does,
and complexity, whereas Aristea is significantly less so.
I can teach it to anyone in any room just about. It's a fairly straightforward game.
So, this is a bit of a, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this fairly,
Give it a go.
mutually.
Yeah.
But because, you are both complete Aristea whores. And, I
true.
agree, because I think it's a great game. But if it
It is the real sports game.
totally. But did you find that reading the rules and being introduced to Defiance, because you were so familiar with Aristea, give you a massive jump ahead of somebody fresh picking it up that has never played it before?
A couple of things to unpack there. The first thing I would add is that Defiance is also written by the same developers as Aristea. So yeah, it does definitely translate. Not only the mechanics are there, but literally the same brains are behind it inside CB. Yes, it gave us an advantage. We could dive straight into the demo scenario with bugger all preparation. Cracked open the demo scenario box and away you go. You know what the colours are, you know what the symbols are. You read your little unit card and it tells you what to do with those colours and symbols. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. That said, even if you had no assumed knowledge, I'm pretty confident you'd pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There is parts which aren't a little bit streamlined. Like the most complex part about Aristea is stuff like timing, or what player does what when, and what switch interacts here and there. And in Aristea, it's a lot more moving parts. In Defiance, there's far fewer moving parts.
Oh, okay.
So the core game mechanics, although yes, they're the same as Aristea, they're just not as full on as Aristea in terms of the fact you're not trying to play against another player who has their own team of heroes with their own set of rules which interact with your guys. There's not as many layers trying to compete and trigger at the same time.
Yeah.
In Defiance, it felt a lot more defined and clearer to follow.
Because it's PvE as opposed to Aristea being PvP, half of each interaction, each role is prescribed for you by the AI deck. So there's probably exactly half the complexity.
Yeah.
Because you as the PC, you get choice, you get options, you get all this stuff. The AI deck doesn't. You do what it says in the little card.
So the AI deck, each turn you, sorry if I'm jumping ahead here, but I take it you flick a card or something like.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. Obviously, the AI deck will have a couple of cards. It's got one to determine the initiative. So let's say there's 3 enemy units kicking about. Obviously, they'll activate in a random order. They'll have a card that shows their weapons, abilities, stats, all that sort of jazz. and then they'll get another card that actually determines what they do, what their order priority is, and that forms a bit of a random number generator style deck.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually quite clean how they do it, which is fantastic.
Do you get situations where the AI is doing something that doesn't make sense?
Not in our experience. Like I played
Yeah.
4 games all up, and not once did the AI do something that was like, why is it doing that? Everything it did made sense. Because
Is there like built-in if buts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very long logic string. So the card that you flip will determine the initial priority order, and there's a very robust tiebreaker and then logic breaker underneath it that goes
Shit, that's clever.
if, and there's about 8 layers to it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the strength of Modifius's AI deck as well, and that's the fall down of other games we've played with AI, where it's like he rolls on the table and he walks 6 inches in some random direction. Like,
Yeah.
And he has to walk into a wall, face
yeah.
the wall.
I'll give you the one example we did come up with. So there was one scenario we had where a PC and an enemy were fighting in a doorway, conceivably blocking the doorway. And we thought we got a scenario where we broke the logic deck because there was an enemy on one side of that doorway who the card determined they needed to assault, run into base-to-base contact with, the nearest PC or up PC. Now, there was a PC within range in the doorway, but obviously he can't stand in the doorway because there's already an enemy there. The game is written in such a way you can move through other characters by taking a movement penalty. So by following the logic chain, he had to move through his own troop and the enemy, cop some movement penalties, but he'd still make it. He got to the other side, he was in base contact with the correct character, and he could carry out the order.
Yeah. Having the blanket rule where everyone can move for everyone at a penalty eliminates, as far as I can see, so many possible AI hang-ups where they get stuck in a room, they can't do anything like that. Yeah, and it makes it very hard to game it.
Yeah,
You
the
can't
classic dungeon crawler bullshit of standing the tank in a door with a shield, which
Yeah.
was one of the first things we noticed. It just doesn't work like that.
No. And the game follows... Well, what helps that as well is the game follows with AI cards different types of targeting. The enemies will either target the guy with the highest aggro, the guy with the fewest aggro, the guy with the most injuries, the guy with the least injuries. So the deck is obviously made so aggro is targeted about 1/3 of the time.
Yeah.
But not all the time, which is great. So you can't rely on it. So good chance of your aggro tank drawing your attention, but you can't bank on it. You can't have your big aggro dude standing in the middle of the field doing everything, and while your friends walk around and just get completely ignored because
there's no impunity.
Yeah,
you can mitigate risk, and it's built that way, but there's no such thing as impunity.
Exactly.
Which was kind of cool.
Tell us about the minis that you got to fondle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. They were actually full proper metal miniatures when we got them.
Yeah, so even the demo kit was full CB minis, and that's been one of the advantages of their campaigns is that all the miniatures, with the exception of the Megalodon that got unlocked, are all CB internally produced
Metal
miniatures. So they are Infinity compatible and much the same as them. They've managed to simplify a lot of the CADs for Defiance to make it a bit more approachable.
Yeah, what's the name? Cheeky of the 2 SMGs.
Yeah, so Uma Thurman. Uma, what's her actual name?
Oh, I can't
Uma
remember.
there's something else because I keep thinking Uma Thurman. Very dynamic miniature, 2 SMGs, firing, advancing pose, 2 parts.
Glued at
I
the
saw that. I saw the way they did it.
Yeah, almost every miniature in the core Defiance and all the main expansions is a 2-part metal
I think
miniature.
3 is like the most they go to.
Yeah. But they've tried to make it as approachable as possible because obviously some legacy CB sculpts, when they first moved over to CAD, especially the robots and shit, there's a lot of fiddly little feet, guns, bits and bobs. They've tried pretty hard to not have any of that.
It really is extraordinary how well those miniatures look for how fewer pieces they're in. Like you've got Quang. He's a big dude with the heavy HMG. I think it's 2 pieces.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, probably 1 arm, 2 arms, and a body, and that's it. Super simple,
That's great.
which is cool.
Bloody clever.
Yeah.
Bloody clever.
Yeah.
Great company.
Yeah. Well, in the stretch goal, in some of the stretch goals too, they released alternative metal pieces that come with them now, so you can dress up your heroes in different. looks.
Okay.
So the core heroes basically unlocked 2 skins.
Yeah.
So the hacker, for example, one of them is her with visor down hacking, the other one's her visor up, sidearm out, shooting, stuff like
cool.
that.
Yep.
That's cool.
And they eventually reached in the late stretch goals instead of just giving you the parts now, they give you the entire second model now. So you'll get 2 copies of every main hero to have 2 different versions of.
to get 2 stances of each one,
Yeah.
2 different gear kits.
Oh, why not? When you've raised 1.8 million.
Yeah,
why not?
yeah,
Why not?
pretty much.
Got to give back.
Yeah.
Now, look, obviously, big fanboy, and I think good on them. It's a
Yeah.
big success for them.
Yeah.
I said to Jacob the other night, wouldn't be surprised now every, say, 2 years, there's a big Kickstarter from them from now on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go. So, to give some context to that sort of thing as far as a business unit goes, they've got Infinity, the main product. They've got Aristeia as a side product, which launched about 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So
It's
Aristeia's
getting on there. Yeah.
Aristeia's coming up. It's not 3 years yet, but it's getting towards it. The RPG, which is obviously outsourced to Modifius and done under license, and then this is the next main product. So I agree with you. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more in the same universe. But what it is and how long it takes, that.
Well, you and I had a discussion on a car trip not too long ago,
Mm.
just wish listing, and
Yeah.
we came up with the how great and how plausible a Starship game could be.
Yeah, I would love to see. Given, for anyone who knows the Infinity lore, obviously, despite the fact it's a skirmish game, the parent canon is around basically a Cold War in space. There's blockades that have sat there having cat and mouse fights with each other for a very long time. If we were to take that to a spaceship game and actually play out the adventures on the blockade, oof.
I think it's interesting because you appeal to a whole new market of people.
Correct. It's the same thing in with Defiance and Aristeia, and I think that you would barely risk bastardizing your existing market.
Yeah.
But at the same time you'd appeal to your existing
Totally.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So yeah, Carlos, if you're listening to my content, please.
yeah.
Spaceship game.
I would say it's very much on the radar.
Yeah. But to summarize Defiance, I think it's fair to say my experience with it, it's probably the most tactical dungeon crawler I've played. And that comes down to the AI deck being amazing. And you actually have to think when you play, especially when you chuck onto the hard mode, which you can do. And the enemies become a threat. Like the other day I played Zombicide for the first time in years. And it gave me a whole new appreciation of Defiance because, Zombicide's fun, but the AI is basically, it spawns and then runs big, massive hordes at you.
Well, the
That's
hordes
all
get
it does.
exponentially bigger.
That's
Very
the only
quickly.
challenge they can do in that game is by just
Yeah.
making you fight more and more tougher and tougher big dudes. In Defiance, it actually gives you a challenging mission and set parameters to follow while the enemy does its best to try and kill you. And it sort of feels like it does, and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the final product.
Yeah. The one thing that really stuck with me afterwards, as opposed to the dungeon crawler concept, if I kind of look at it as a macro concept, there's no way to secure your position during the game, which is a good thing. There's always pressure. I know if you go back to some of the more traditional ones, and I mentioned the likes of Hero Quest and that sort of thing, you can open a door, you find an enemy or a trap or whatever, you respond to it, and then your party, unless they're Leroy Jenkinsing through all the doors, will just shore up and then do the next thing. But it really doesn't work like that. The pressure is constantly on. There's mechanics in there to keep you on your toes. The enemies are all meat grinders. They'll respawn.
Yeah.
And the clock is ticking, and they will get harder the longer you take to accomplish your objective.
Interesting.
So you can't clear a room, shut the door, and be in there securely. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing worth mentioning, because I think it's a cool little, adds a little bit of depth and fun to it, is the hacking mini game.
Yeah.
Talking about opening doors. So if you want to hack a console to open a door or do this or that, it's not a matter of just walking up and doing a check. Well, it is, but it works in a unique sort of cool way. You have a little control board for each console, and each console will have a number of protocols or subroutines you have to try and access. And you have little tokens which you chuck on this little card, the console card, and using the Aristeia dice, if you get certain symbols, you add them to your console. And if one line on the console gets, say, an exclamation mark, success, and a shield, you've successfully entered that console line, and a certain parameter unlocks. Like you might unlock this door, you might release this docking clamp, etc., etc., etc. So, you, as a hacker, you actually feel like, in a cliche video gamey sort of way, you are hacking into a console.
You got to get a code string.
It's not just a yes, no on a roll of dice. You're actually doing something
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the infosphere.
To
Yeah.
get that is an incredibly clever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
And
Yeah.
that's why the Aristeia dice work, because it's that I've described it in Aristeia as degrees of success.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it translates really well. And it does mean even if you're not succeeding at the thing you're trying to do, you can probably still achieve something by expending your different symbols. It's not just pass-fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great for a dungeon crawl like this. There's never a moment where you're like, I've had a dud turn.
Yeah, it's not. I run up, discharge my weapon, and I missed. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
GG.
Oh, I reckon I could still crack that.
Yeah. To be fair
Well,
to Jacob, if there's a blank face on each dice, and if you roll that, you can't do a great. Actually, no, he can play Uma.
Give him Uma.
Yeah,
The dice don't want to know what to do.
Uma
They'll
treats
explode.
blanks as successes on SMGs, so you were playing her forever.
No, you just rolled shields all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Irrelevant shields.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just defend my way to death.
Also had to poor Chad. He couldn't roll blank to
Yeah.
save his life. He was just rolling shields for no reason. He couldn't hit anything. Just defensing it up for days. Yeah.
So I guess the last one would be how's it play? And I know we've touched on it, but if you could, I don't know, analogize it. Help me out here, Greg. What's the word I'm looking for?
Analysis.
I mean,
Please.
No, it'll do though.
I don't know. It's definitely a dungeon crawler.
yeah,
But it's very, very unique in the
Yeah.
way it plays. It's has the sci-fi goodness of Infinity. It has that sort of non-binary yes/no feel of the dice, like Aristeia. And from the few missions we played, it feels like you can replay. Has a massive amount of replayability.
correct. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. So the replayability is very obvious even within the game itself. But then they've already flagged that there will be a mission builder that was unlocked, so an official tool to create scenarios your own way,
Which is amazing.
and is very adaptable to house rules.
Yeah.
So that was me and Mike realized very quickly if you wanted to ramp up the odds and actually turn the table so the PCs probably wouldn't succeed, there's a couple of mechanics you can dial up to do that and
Good
have a challenge mode.
Well, a good example of that is there's no reason why you can't just do away with the AI system entirely and have a player control the monsters and play it as if you're playing a competitive game.
Yeah.
Just follow the mission parameters and
And
100% work.
And Jono over there can take control of
Yeah.
the Shazvasti horde and do his best to fight against you.
So that's kind of something that I was thinking about with Defiance is that, and again, I'm going to generalize, Greg, so no offense here, but most dudes that I know are well into Infinity are really competitive gamers.
Yeah, but at the same time...
How will that roll through Defiance? Because to me, the way you're describing Defiance, it seems much more co-op, narrative-driven, lots of that sort of stuff. So the things that appeal to me might not necessarily ping with a few of these guys.
I think that's fair, and I think you're not going to get 100% crossover.
Mm.
And you're going to have guys... There's a lot of guys in the Infinity verse who love the more narrative stuff, but are sort of forced to play that more ITS sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know their pain.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
live that pain too. And it's... Defiance, for people like you and I, is a great game because you can't play it gamey. It has to be done in a friendly, co-op sort of way.
Yeah.
But if you are in a circle of Infinity players who want to play competitively, you absolutely can. So I guess you could cater for both crowds. But I know I think you'd get maybe a 50-50 strike rate maybe with the Infinity crossover.
Yeah.
And you attract other people who want that dungeon crawler and don't necessarily want to dive into that steep learning curve of Infinity. So it's a good crossover between different play groups, I think.
Yeah. It fills a different role.
Yeah, exactly.
Without cannibalizing.
Well, it's the same with Aristeia. Like Aristeia, it doesn't. Not every Infinity player plays Aristeia.
Far from it, yeah.
Exactly. So, but you definitely have that crossover there still.
Mm.
It's just not one for one.
What it says to me from listening to your chat is that, again, Corvus Belli haven't let the side down. They spent a lot of time, effort, getting it right, giving looking at ways of expanding it, looking at how the AI system works and the hacking system works, and just nailing it by the sounds of it. Like,
Yeah.
if only every other game company out there actually gave a shit about their rules and getting them playable and to the point where it had replayability.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They've binned a lot of the problematic tropes with dungeon crawlers and skull dragged it into a modern age game.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think a part of that, it's a very sneaky, cheeky little thing. I don't know if this is going to carry across to later scenarios or not, but the maps are far, far smaller.
Yeah.
Like Imperial Assault, Zombicide, those maps are massive. They will fill your entire board, especially the late game Imperial Assault stuff. It's like you have an entire room, entire table full of rooms, and every room you go into is full of 50-plus stormtroopers, and eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, I get it.
But that as well, that has that old school trope of you open the door, is there a trap, is there things behind it? It's that mystery reveal, which again, as far as we know, this doesn't rely on that.
No.
You understand going in as a group of PCs, this is the lay of the compound, this is what you need to do and how you need to do it. The challenge is not in how you unlock a door and if you set off a booby trap. It's actually, the enemy's already there.
Doing the thing.
Well, because there's no GM, there can't be any secrets.
No.
So everything in this scenario has to be there in black and white.
Yeah.
So there's no surprises. And going back to what you said, Jacob, that could also appeal to that Infinity player who likes that sort of competitive edge, because you get to plan your mission ahead.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a tactical room before the mission, because you go, all right, this is what we're going to do. You go here, you go that, you set up here, run over that crate, turn one, do this. So you can get tactical with the AI.
Yeah.
And it is competitive in a way, just in a different sense, I suppose. But the fact you get to strategize and pre-plan your mission, I think will appeal to a lot of Infinity players as well.
Coming back to that point, though, and I'm not having a dig, I'm just digging in.
Yeah.
Is that going to turn into the thinking man's plan it perfectly, or is there enough scope to run and gun your way through a couple of missions?
It's hard to say because we haven't really played a whole other missions yet.
Yeah, the demo scenario, playing it through rules as written, was built in favor of the PCs, but it was a demonstrator scenario, so of course it was, because it's playable with no assumed knowledge, right? So you can kind of fumble your way through the first one, not knowing what you're doing. I think you can definitely play it just by the seat of your pants, and that's what myself and Chad and Mike did in one of the games. I took control of Caden, who starts the game just wielding a pair of swords, and I played it in character. I didn't play the fucking mission. I played it like a guy with two swords.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Which did trigger Chad a little bit, but it was still entirely playable. It still all worked.
And I think you run the risk in games like this where you get the one tactical, that was air quotes around that, or strategic guy who wants to dictate what the best move is each turn. So I think, again, but it's probably coming down to your playing group.
Yeah,
exactly. There's
definitely playing group in there, because that was one of the things we realized. You do need a degree of that communication. So I give you an example, the guy who doesn't have guns, who only has swords. If you put him in the wrong place in the order of the PCs, because you get, as a PC group, your choice in which order you activate in, unlike the faceless AI, do it randomly, you can kind of dick that guy, because he doesn't have guns, he can't really defend himself. So if you leave him out in the open, he will just die. So you need you do need to communicate as a party group as you would. It's in that RPG sense of, no, you don't need to think tactically over it for 20 minutes, but a quick 3-second chat to make sure you don't leave old Caden with his dick in the breeze is going to go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think when we played, Star Wars, FFG Star Wars, we always did the random turn order.
Yeah.
Just to
work. Yeah, during a
to
combat
stop
scenario,
that
to spice
thing.
it.
You don't know who's coming up next, so you needed to think on your feet a bit more. So
And
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And if you wanted to, if you got a bit way into the campaign and you were seeing too much of that would be an immeasurably easy house rule to slap in, because you've got the tools to do it.
Yeah.
Egg timer, man. That's all you need to do.
Even just RNG.
Or random
RNG
either
way.
Yeah,
But
you can do it that way.
Egg timer go a long way too.
Egg
It
timer,
sounds like.
To death clock that game, we get intense.
But I think a countdown timer. Some of those missions that you've been talking about could sound really damn
absolutely
cool.
Like, I think the missions have an inbuilt time limit.
They have inbuilt time limit based on turns.
Yeah, but you can always cut that down too if you wanted to put a time limit on top of another time limit. So you could have normally a 10-turn mission, you could take it down to 6 turns if you wanted to make it really hard.
Yeah.
There's lots of variables you can tweak to make the game more edge of your seat, and adding that death clock to it would even add more.
Sounds good.
To it. Yeah, so.
Look forward to the review, I think.
Any final questions, Greg?
No, I think you've give it a real good sound beating, to be honest.
Any final footnotes, lads?
I'm just keen for it.
Yeah, keen for it. I mean, the fact it's being produced miniature-wise in-house by CB means we're hoping to see it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, as far as Kickstarters in relative terms, I should put a caveat on that.
Very glad that you've backed it Platinum, Mike. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I know, right? You only need one person in the group to do it, and then everyone can reap the benefits. So happy
That's
days.
it.
But honestly, I was talking to one of my RPG mates the other day who has also backed it, Martin, and I think it's the first time where I've had a co-op board game. Because I'm not a big board game person. I tend to get kind of by them, but because I'd rather play an RPG if I was going to dedicate that time.
Yep.
But this is the first co-op dungeon crawler where I could comfortably put this down instead of an RPG and play it as a long-term campaign, because it has that sort of like rich feel to it that other dungeon crawlers don't have. Mainly because there's just a arduous grind through faceless goons. This one isn't. It actually feels like you're on a tactical mission.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm keen to see how the character development goes.
Yeah.
Because you can see all the tools laid out before you, but obviously we haven't. The demo scenario doesn't leave a lot to skill up and go shopping and do all those sort of development
Yeah, that's
things.
fair enough. Yeah.
Ooh, sexy times. You're talking my language.
So if this has piqued people's interest, where can they go and find more info or even lay down some dollars?
Well, the Kickstarter page, if you search Infinity Defiance, you'll stumble across it. The backer kit pledge manager type situation hasn't opened yet, but I suspect you can probably register your interest and keep an eye there.
They'll no doubt do late pledges, I'd guess. So
Yeah, well, the manager hasn't even launched, so
Yeah,
we
exactly,
won't know
so-
for a number of weeks. But that, and on the main CB website, if you search for Infinity Defiance, they've got heaps of all the teasers, all the art, all that jazz.
Well, in fact, you should mention that. Well, we should mention that. The Kickstarter page, if you scroll down through the campaign, it has all the game in its core set demo sort of world that it's set up in currently. You can download it all and print and play.
Yeah, that's
So
in classic CB accessibility style. You can actually find all the PDF resources and basically become addicted before it lands.
Even down to the game tiles, you can print them all
Yeah.
off and just bash them out and see if you like it or not.
Yeah.
And there's also a heap of YouTube videos out there too. So if you're keen to check it out and see what it plays like,
Yeah,
boot
it's-
it up,
it's
see what happens.
Certainly
Sounds like the TAs have a bit of work ahead of them tomorrow.
I actually want to make a prediction. I reckon that it's going to be the digital files that are available for print is going to be on Tabletop Simulator at some point in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Because it's just a matter of, it'll be such a simple port because it's a matter of just taking across the JPEGs or the PNGs
It's
and
2D. It's not like you need. Yeah.
ease life.
Oh.
I actually should check that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on there
Yeah,
already.
someone might have beaten you to it.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it, but but I imagine someone out there in the community will. Like Aristar's available on there, so I can imagine it'll be on there too. So interesting.
There you go. All right, lads. Thanks for the recap,
No workers.
and we'll keep moving through the content.
Snyder. Dillon.
You're listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast. And now, this.
So, Greg, you mentioned at the top of the show you've been distracted and busy.
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that, mate?
Just change jobs.
You've just changed jobs. That's right.
No, in all seriousness, I did change jobs, and it has been incredibly busy. But
Picked a great time to do it as well.
I
Yeah.
know.
Genius.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter closed. Well, we had a Kickstarter, which we talked about it.
Well, yes, I Kickstarter did close,
Yeah.
but which one?
We had an entire episode about it.
Yes, we did. So to our fantastic listeners, the Delta 10, the miniatures game Kickstarter, finished up as we record this time last week, actually.
Yeah, 7
Pretty
days
much
ago.
almost the minute.
Yep.
Which was great. It was a roller coaster of a ride, which you two guys are acutely aware of because I was messaging you probably a million times a day.
See, we weren't on the roller coaster. We were watching you on the
Yeah.
coaster cam
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a very interesting time. Learned a lot of lessons that we can take into Wave 2,
Definitely.
which
Yep.
is very exciting because this was our first one, so we knew we were going to make mistakes. It was going to happen. So
I think
now,
that's what every person who does their first Kickstarter says.
yeah,
They learn a million things in the first time around.
so we've got 12 months now to plan the next one, make it bigger and better, more simpler.
I can see the fear in Jacob and JT's eyes from just across the room.
Well, it's almost
Wave
like
2's fine because it's expanding on Wave 1. Wave 3, on the other hand,
Ruh-roh.
yes.
is a...
And
but
to
we'll
be
worry
honest-
about that one. when we have to.
Aneurysm building.
Yeah. I was thinking of a comparison, but I won't say it because it's not PC at all.
Do it. We'll edit it if it's bad. Go on.
So it's almost like the equivalent of giving
I'm not gonna
birth.
edit it. Sorry.
You go through all that excitement. You're like, oh, what's it going to be? You know, it's going to be a boy or girl. And then you're like, then all the agony of birthing your creation. And then you just ecstatic, but then you just come down in such a low afterwards. And then now you're in a gradual sort of come up, sort of high again. So
I believe that's called postnatal depression.
yes, I think it
I
is.
think you need to see someone about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
well, only because you're in such an adrenaline high those last 2 days, because even the sort of last 3 or 4 days, because the whole thing was fluctuating so much.
Oh, man. It was... And that was the crazy bit because we were like steady, 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 and then it was like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and that was the thing that messed with your head most of all.
Yeah, and then the massive rush at the end was like, what's going on? So we had almost equivalent amount of backers in the last sort of 12 hours as we did in the sort of first 12 hours. It was just incredible. It was great. So big kudos to our fans and the people who backed the game, because that's who bought it. So it was great.
Yeah. So successfully funded,
Yep.
obviously.
4 stretch goals unlocked.
Wow. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, again, it made me cringe because you were saying about Defiance, how the Kickstarter was so simple to follow. And I think with ours, that's one of the learnings that we can take away, is that I think we could have made it clear what each pledge did. So, for example, the pledge manager gave it access whatever level you backed at. I don't think that was specifically really all that clear. So we'll do that for. That's one of the learnings we'll take away from this.
It wasn't. I thought it was pretty straightforward, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, in comparison to others, still very, very clear.
Yeah, a few people comment on it. A few people commented exactly what you did, but a couple of people did comment and say, "Oh, you could make it a bit more clear." So we did.
Fair.
We made it as clear as we could. So anyway, so we're now into. We're just waiting for the Kickstarter funds to clear, which is apparently 2 weeks to the minute when it closes. So 7 days time again to the minute, we'll hopefully get the cash in the account.
Nice.
So why the 2 week wait, out of curiosity?
I have no idea. I guess it's for credit card payments that have been
that's true.
declined.
Oh, that's actually a good point. Yeah, because
We actually had a friend comment on this for with regard to Defiance. He's another guy who backed Defiance, and his bank rejected it because he doesn't obviously send euros to Spain out of his Australian domestic savings account very often.
Needs to get on Snapchat Premium then.
Yeah, funnily enough. Yeah,
my bank had no problems.
yeah.
What's that say about me?
Yeah. Take from that what you will.
Snapchat Premium.
But I suspect, Greg, it's to correct all those transactions and currency trading that
true.
needs to go on in the background.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's happening. But I suppose before I'm sort of rushing ahead, taking a leaf out of your book, Josh, the community that bought the game or purchased it, or I guess where the backers are from, I should say. So a quick run through, very briefly. We have Australia as our biggest backer. Good on you, Australia. Then the US, the UK, France, Canada, Germany, Hungary, Italy, New Zealand, and then Austria. So yeah, a real
Hungry.
melting pot of around the worldness, I guess you could
Nice.
say. So good to see.
And pre pledge manager, how many core boxes sold in the end?
Off the top of my head, around about 105.
105.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So stoked. Really.
Yeah,
It's
stoked.
fantastic, yeah.
How many of the little army packs did you sell? Was the core box your biggest seller, I assume?
Yes, but by miles.
Yep.
Yeah. So the actual army boxes, I think maybe 2 each sold, and then the combined pack again maybe 2. So
Oh, is that
only
it?
6
Wow.
all up.
Yeah.
It was the core box.
So just like Defiance, I mean, you can put D1Z in the same category. Is it the best value package was the one that sold the
Yeah.
most?
Yeah, and I think again that's a lesson to take away from all of this.
Yep.
You know, maybe we don't do army packs in the future because it's just.
Well, if you're going
demands
to
on
do,
there.
make them different. There's a reason why to buy them, because one might be a blah pack, contains these dudes, but obviously that's something for.
But the
a
other thing
much
is
later date.
they also unlocked in the pledge manager.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to buy just the Russian Strelocks, you can just
That's true.
back for $1 and then
And then grab the spetsies.
grab them in the
Hopefully.
wherever.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. While you're there.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? You know,
Grab
we'll
some-
have this.
Grab some Russian fries with that.
Yeah.
Did the political officer unlock?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Not the alt sculpt, to be clear, there is a political officer. in
Oh,
the
yeah,
core
of
box.
course.
There is one in the core box, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I meant the alt. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah. So, so I've sort of been thinking. Obviously we're in a planning stage now, so we're contacting our suppliers to get all the gubbins and the miniatures made, and I've got a couple of interesting ideas that may happen, may not. We'll see what happens, but I can't talk about them right now. But hopefully in the new year when we get back, I'm going on holidays for 4 weeks overseas. So when we get back in January and start recording again, or February, whenever we decide, hopefully I'll have some pretty interesting updates.
I'm just keen to sort of, again, when I'm on holidays over January, just deep dive back into the rules and make sure everything's tight, ready to roll out. Like, we're
Well-
very confident we got it. We're right. We're on the money with all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what comes where.
And again, to
And
give
how.
the listeners some idea, like we've been planning this. It was interesting. It just dawned on me the other day. When the game is released in May, all being well, fingers crossed, that'll be 3 years almost to the day when we first
Had
started.
brainstorming.
Coming up with ideas of the game. But prior to that, so for the past 2.5 years, and we know we sort of rabbit on about, we've been doing this for a while. We've already got campaign rules thereabouts in the background. We have other ideas for other genres of the game, or I guess ways to play, I suppose you could say.
I still want to do the Wild West version. I'm just saying.
Yep. You heard it here first.
Yep.
We've got other expansions that even before we've got the other 2 waves to come on top of that to flesh out the 6 factions, and beyond that we've got other ideas for factions. So there's a lot happening, and we've got a lot going on.
If nothing else, dear listener, Greg is an ideas man.
Yes,
He's got enough ideas about D1Z to sink a ship.
That's
Yes.
very true.
Yeah.
That's the most accurate statement that's been uttered all night.
And one thing I can tell listeners is that we're planning a planning session. We have planned it. We have a couple of dates in mind, and I think to me that's going to be one of the most exciting things. Is just sitting down and just.
Well, it's a reality now.
It was a reality,
You can-
exactly
You
right.
can take Wave 1's ideas and we're printing them.
And we had a short-term plan which we can now push the button on. So we just got to work out, what's priority in that short-term plan, and then we can finally talk about our medium and long-term goals, that's to me the really exciting part, because we want to do wave 2, wave 3, and then after that, who knows? Which is awesome. It is so good.
Are you going to be running any demos?
Good point.
Mm.
So we're going to HeroCon, which is in Brizzy.
16 days, man.
I know, bloody hell.
16 days.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yep. Where has the bloody time gone? So yeah, we'll be there both days. Looking forward to it. 'Cause some of the people that have backed it will definitely be there,
Yeah.
and they can actually. I mean, they've taken a passing look at it and they've sort of, oh yeah, it looks good and all that stuff. But I think now we'll actually get people. Oh right, so how does it actually work? What's it all about? And I think hopefully that will get people excited about it too.
Yeah, being able to have your fully fledged demo kit there is...
Yeah,
Is
and
always
we'll
cool.
probably take the stereotypical dock set.
Yeah.
Which does look good,
Mm.
if I do say so myself. And it gives that idea of, it gets you immersed in that world. And then at CanCon, we're in discussions with CanCon at the moment to demo it at CanCon.
Cool.
So I've been given the verbal that we're good to go. So he was just going to come back and just double check that all our, all the balances are in the right place. And if that's the case, then yeah, we'll take it to CanCon. I've got to go to CanCon anyway to catch up with people, so it makes sense to take it down there and
show it off.
Why not? Yeah, show it off, which would be cool.
You're fortunate CanCon has that space for that sort of demonstrator and other games to be trialed and played and stuff like that. So there's definitely a market and expectation from CanCon punters to see that sort of thing.
Yeah, and we have got a demo kit. Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best thing about it. We have barring the box, everything is done.
Yeah.
Like it's all there.
Yeah.
We have everything, which is fantastic to have that ability.
Yeah,
and
you
not
can
everyone can do that.
you can show off essentially a finished product.
Yeah, which is cool. So looking forward to that. That's gonna be wicked. But yeah, look, big shout out to without the backers, it wouldn't have existed. So it's the backers, the pledgers. That's who we've got to thank. All you guys in the room, obviously, you all backed it. So thank you very much. All our wider gaming group have been fantastic throughout the playtesting process and proofreading and just generally lending a hand. There's too many people to thank, really, but you all know who you are, so thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. And finally, I guess if people want to find out more, where can they go?
Just jump on the Facebook page. That's pretty much where all the news is happening, and you'll find the links to the Kickstarter on there. The pledge manager will go live in around about a week to 10 days' time. And then hopefully we can finalise orders, get all locked in place, and off we go. But prior to that, I'm not even waiting for that. I'm pushing ahead with the manufacture of the miniatures.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm keen to get my hands on some Russians.
yes. Yep.
Get them all painted up.
Yeah, everyone seems to want the Russians. There's not a lot of UKPF love.
I just want to make something clear. They're not the bad guys.
Oh, me personally, I just love the Russian aesthetic. I think it just appeals to me.
It's just
I dig it.
misunderstood.
Yeah, that's it. It's all a matter of perspective.
Exactly.
That's it. So yeah, jump on Facebook, check out D1Z, the miniature game.
That's it.
Join the community group.
Yes.
Check us out on Instagram, on Reddit, on Twitter. And YouTube. Don't forget the YouTube channel.
That's right.
With
yeah.
all the
We've got videos.
amazing
Oh,
videos that someone's put
I
up there.
will be posting up the blooper video that was of the
From
live
the
action
trailer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean to do that, so I'll do that. I'll try and do it this weekend, actually. Yeah.
That's good.
I look forward
just
to that.
the listeners, it's R-rated, so don't have your little kids near it. When you
Lots
play.
of swears.
Lots of swearing.
We could beep them out, but then the whole
Nah,
video would
bugger
just be
that.
a beep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah.
we'd be R2D2. That'd be nice.
Classic.
All right. Thanks heaps, Greg.
Tonight, done.
You're listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast. Let's masturbate.
All right, so our final segment tonight, we are looking at some pretty big news that come out of Nottingham just very recently. Games Workshop, Thursday last week, their time, posted a meme with a 25mm square base and the text, "Everything comes round again, even squares." This led to some pretty severe conjecture.
It was a robust debate.
I believe he made a bet.
Was it
All right,
a master
that
bit?
bet, let me just
That
clarify.
bet's still valid.
No one took it up. If they had have, I would have honoured it.
That's fair enough. Missed opportunity,
So
I
what
guess.
was the bet? I think I said they're going to be converters to convert square bases to round. And let me just justify this. The promotion says everything comes round again, even squares. Okay? So I thought, yeah, they're your old square base minis, here's a converter, use them in Age of Sigmar.
I love the idea of a converter. Like GW would make that. It's the square patient glued to the bottom.
Yeah? They would.
That's it's like $79.
Yeah.
If this isn't a
Four.
perfect Games Workshop product, what is?
It 100% is. That's why I'm laughing.
Anyway, I
at
think
it so
I said if it's not that, I said I'll bet my asshole for the evening.
Yeah.
See,
If that's not
honestly,
what
I
it
thought it
is.
was a safe bet. I'm like, nah, his asshole's going to be intact. Turns out.
How wrong were
Yeah?
we?
Well, someone should have put their hand up, and they would have been cooking me breakfast on Saturday.
I could have saved some money on premium Snapchat.
Shit. Yeah. So on Friday their time, Saturday our time, the announcement comes out that Warhammer: The Old World is in the works officially in the Games Workshop studio, which is a return to square-based mass combat fantasy from Games Workshop. Warhammer: The Old World, they're calling it, as opposed to the Age of Sigmar after the Old World is blown up.
Well, sorry to jump in, but as I understand it, reading the gubbins out there, now I don't know if it's legit, like official. I think it is official, maybe. But they're treating Warhammer: The Old World as the 30k to the 40k.
Yep, exactly.
The
yeah,
comparison
step
has been
back
made.
into-
It's
yeah.
Horus Heresy to
Yes.
40k.
Yeah.
So yeah, before what's his face, Cetra, Archaon,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Archaon,
Nice
isn't
one.
it? End
Yeah.
times, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, ruined everything.
What a dick.
Fucking sweet model though. Yeah, so sort of stepping back in time and getting some classic mass combat.
Allegedly. To be fair, we've seen no content. And the one thing I read about it said its development cycle was some time away.
2 to 3 years. They
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm just going off the GW press release, so using their language. And this has got some corners of the internet very excited. In my corner in particular, I'm very keen. There's some corners that are very skeptical, and there's a bit of skepticism in the room, just looking at the smirks on people's faces.
Yeah.
It's just trust issues, man.
And then we've got people that have been burned so hard,
Yeah.
they're like, I'm not touching this with a barge pole, I believe was a quote I read somewhere. So I think that's a big call, 3 years out from the rules being released, but whatever.
I'm to a certain extent, I'm a bit in Mike's corner because 3 years for GW, come on, they never
Yeah.
really
It's a page of rules every 6 months. They can write that.
yeah, exactly. Like that just makes that makes no sense to me.
Miniature
You know what it
development
says to
time.
me, though? It says, they're leading time for new minis, but it also says that they're taking their time with the rulebook. And that doesn't sound like a bad thing to me.
I'll counter that, and I think, being completely cynical, that if they say now, right, 3 years away, all the hate, all the rage, just comes out in the wash over the next 2 years, and by the time it comes around, all the haters going, "Oh, I'm over it. Whatever. I'm just going to bloody buy it."
So the marketing pigeon is just putting it out there to cop a flogging for 2 years.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. Just get all the hatred out of the way.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I had a bit of a flick through the Facebook pages, mainly the Ninth Age Facebook page. There's not a lot of hate out there. Surprisingly,
it's
not a lot.
But you don't need to hate it. And this is probably where I come in. I didn't set my army on fire when the world blew up. I didn't post YouTube videos of setting Dark Elf miniatures alight. But at the same time, for me, it's the whole let the past die and kill it if you must.
Yeah, and I get that. But the thing that shitted me the absolute most with the death of 8th was that it died. That people went, oh, GW aren't releasing new rules for it. Let's stop playing. Oh, it's my favorite game, but let's stop playing. Like, it made no fucking sense to me.
No.
That said, I'm playing a cowboy game from 2006. So
yeah, and I think after that we started playing Blood Bowl, which hadn't had a meaningful update since 2000.
Exactly. So to me, I mean, I'm thinking, right, it does two things. We get a new rule set from them, and it's good, and we can play. We might need to shell out a bit of stuff for some gubbins, whatever, some magic decks, some dice, a movement widget, if you will, Mike. Or the other thing, people get pumped up, they prep their armies again, and they go, oh, well, this sucks. We'll play something else.
Yeah, that's on my notes, actually.
Yeah.
Is that, interestingly, Mantic came out with a pretty couple of sarky
There were some spicy
memes.
Mantic memes. I'm not one to give Mantic any credit organically, but there were some spicy memes coming out of Mantic.
But my takeaway from all this is, I think it's great for Mantic.
Yeah.
Because for that exact reason, that it gets people playing fantasy again, regardless. If it's crap, they'll just go, what's the next best thing? Mantic.
Yeah.
And they're trying to
Is
move...
it though?
They won't though. That's the thing.
They're trying to make it better. So,
Yeah. I know. And I give Mantic a bit of stick, and the last rule set is fine. It does the job. I'm not going to say I love it, because it's still Kings of War.
they're still trying. They're trying to bring in that flavour, which is missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
They've
interestingly-
gone a long way for that, that's for sure.
Interestingly, sorry to hog it,
No, you're right.
hog the mic. But again, the Ninth Age reading the chat, and John will be the perfect person to mention this. But this is what I picked up from the Facebook page, was that the Ninth Age has strived for balance and making sure that the game is really competitive. But the downside is it's lost all the flavor.
It's sterile.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but then the flip side was 8th edition was so broken, and so, but then it was never designed for that. It was never designed for competitive system.
Yeah, and we've trod this ground many times, so we don't necessarily need to go over it again.
No, I'm just saying.
But and that's just to spare our listeners, because I would happily go over it again. But I think it's like if you're looking for a competitive tournament game, you're not going to find it in 8th Ed. Hopefully, I'm saying it now, you won't find it in the old world. I hope they don't go that way, because that loses the flavour. It becomes sterile, and they've already got Age of Sigmar, which is how many players they have at CanCon? Nearly 300.
Yeah.
So
I want to be excited for it, because I was never a big fantasy person. I was more 40k back in the day, but I played a fair bit of fantasy. I want to get excited for you guys. Like, I could tell how much it sucked having your game system being gutted like GW did it with Age of Sigmar. And the way they did it with Age of Sigmar was terrible too. It was just like, oh, hi, how's it going? See you later, fantasy. Welcome this new
Welcome
game.
to Space Marines.
Yeah, you should enjoy this because we tell you to do it. It's like, what? Excuse me? But I'm gonna sound like the ultimate GW hating cynic, but I have been on GW's side for years. It's only in the last 12 months or so where I've gone, I'm done with GW. It's because they are the masters of promising this big new shiny toy, delivering this big new shiny toy. Once the gloss has worn off a little bit, all the failures come to the surface. Every game system they've released in the past couple of years have done that. They promote it very well. They're great at marketing their games. It's a shame that games ultimately suck most of the time. If you are very new to the hobby, they're great. If you're an experienced gamer, though, you quickly find the faults and you see those faults straight away. Warcry is a perfect example. Surface level, looking at that game, fantastic. Skirmish-based fantasy game, playing warring chaos factions. Amazing. You don't need Age of Sigmar to play it. It's completely its own rule set. But don't try and analyse or enjoy the rules, because there is none. It is just the most shallowest substance of anything. And this is my fear of what they'll do with Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Old World, whatever it's called, is they'll hype this up to the point where you will think in your mind it's going to be this return to the greatness. You crack it on the table, you play 5 or 10 games, waiting for that moment for the penny to drop where you're like, cool, this game is going to be great, but it never comes. And that's what happened with 8th edition of 40k. It came out, it had its teething period. It's like, okay, cool, the game's still finding its feet. That teething period's still going. It's still trying to find its feet. They've had to patch so many things onto that game. This was the edition that was supposed to fix the edition, fix 40k. They hyped it up like it was going to do that, and it never did. It just made this dice spamming monstrosity that it is now. Like, I don't play it anymore. It's just not a fun game. You set up your armies, you roll dice, and whoever usually wins the dice roll to go first wins. And that's what I'm afraid they'll carry that across with Old World. I hope it's great. I really do, because I would like to play it if it's really good, because I like Warhammer Fantasy. But if they just deliver heartache again, I could see that just getting people upset all over again.
Well, what about it being the 30k?
How do you mean?
To 40k as it being like to Age of Sigmar.
Well, yeah,
to
okay.
30k.
If they play it, that's clever marketing, because what you're going to do there is assume, all right, because 30k uses the 7th edition 40k rules, which are significantly better than 8th edition rules, especially in Forge World's hands. They control the rules far better than GW did. They're making that comparison to make you think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's very clever. Nowhere have they said they're going to use the old 8th edition rules or based off the 8th edition rules.
No, of course not.
But
Not
from
yet.
like a period timepiece, that's how they're linking it together.
And also from a marketing point of view, anyone I've ever spoke to raves about 30k. Whoever plays 30k absolutely loves it. Said it attracts, more reasonable gamers. They're not super competitive. They're more into narrative. it's just a better system overall. That's generally, I don't know, but that's what the 30k players have said.
Yep.
So by drawing that comparison straight away, you're thinking, oh yeah, well it's gonna be good.
Let's
because
be
30K 's
clear. This isn't Games Workshop making this comparison. That is just
Correct.
conjecture.
Yeah, that's exactly
No,
right.
but in their announcement video, they immediately made 30k reference to it, and I think in a lot of people's minds, they're going to make that tie into what 30k is to 40k now, and that already sets them up to either a launching point for success or a launching
Or
point for failure.
expectations.
Exactly,
That's the thing. It builds expectations.
it does. I hope it's good. I really do. I hope they in 2 or 3 years' time, whenever it comes out, because I'd be very surprised if they're working on the rules for 2 to 3 years. They probably have the rules already developed,
Yes, I agree with you.
at least to a playable extent.
Yeah.
And that period is just going to be them kitting up box sets to release,
Yeah.
either cracking out the old molds that have been sitting dormant for all these years and reboxing stuff at some new increased price, splitting the 20-man boxes into 10-mans and then
Yep.
selling it for full price. But not here to talk about GW prices. I hope it's good. I really do. But like their development time for rules doesn't mean a whole lot. I think a perfect example is the Sisters Battle Codex. They released the Sisters Battle Codex for test play, I think about 18 months ago. This is the codex. The codex had been worked on. Apparently, so they told us, was being worked on for years before we got this test play copy, public test play, and it was abysmal. And it got slammed by the community. And the new one, the final product, is nothing like the beta. Beta rules don't change that much. This thing is an entire new codex.
Oh, which just means power creep. It'll be the best new shiny, I guarantee it.
Well, it just means it's an example of they just pump out new rules very quickly.
But as we all know, they are not a games company. It's got games in the title, but they are not a games. They're there to sell you minis.
Which is great. But at the same time, for the guys like yourselves who are excited for 8th edition, are you there to buy miniatures or are you there to play a game you love?
Oh, look, going back to Delta 1-0, our 100% focus has always been the rules. The miniatures came 18 months after the rules. The models is not where we're at. Is not our forte. Like it's all about the rules.
But you can do both. Corvus Belli,
Yeah.
perfect example of it.
Yes.
There's no reason them sitting behind the whole thing of going, we're a miniatures company, is the slackest excuse. It is the most shallow, hollow excuse in the world. Just employ better writers.
well, you know,
and
what it
job's
does?
done.
It slows up the pushing out the miniatures. That's
Exactly.
what it slows up the process.
It's-
Again, yes, I get it. But there are people who played 8th Ed and thought it was great.
Oh, yeah.
We
there
were
there are
them.
people that play Age of Sigmar and think it's great. And like that's the thing. Like we can, and I think that's kind of getting me down a little bit about this, is that there's just this implied cynicism around it. That we don't know anything other than GW working on it.
Yeah, you're right. You're
And
100%
I'm
right.
like, and I think this is so symptomatic of the attitudes out there that we can't just be hopeful for a little bit.
Yeah, no, but when you've been beaten over the head by someone all day, every day,
Yeah.
when they raise their fist to reach for the top shelf, you're going to flinch.
and there's something for me personally, and this, if we go back to the cast where I think our first one or second one, we talked about this whole issue of where they destroyed 8th. One of my issues was the business ethical side of it, where they grabbed your cash even though they were destroying the game. There was nobody in the shop saying, "Oh, hang on a second, actually next week's dead."
Yeah.
Just let you know.
It's very,
Sorry,
very...
I'll take that back. It's not dead. We're going to finish it. So it's
All right.
It's
Games only die when people stop
correct.
playing them.
So I'll rephrase
and I will
that.
say that's on
Not
my
supported.
fucking tombstone.
Yeah.
Because
True.
it doesn't need to support it. They gave you everything you could need to play the game to that point. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
So if they just that's the thing I don't get. We just all of a sudden go, "Oh, well, fuck, I'm not playing that anymore."
Well, okay. So look, taking it from
power creep. All the power creep. I've got to buy the new thing. Oh, they're not making any new things. Oh, well, they're not making any new things. Fucking hell. Like, I don't get this fucking attitude.
Yeah, I agree. It
To
is
take
weird.
to take a point. So Phoenix, my son, wanted to do Tomb Kings, and he just got into it just when they ended it.
Yeah.
So we couldn't buy. They stopped selling
Yeah.
Tomb Guard. So we
Yeah.
couldn't do Tomb Guard. All right, it's a bit different
Look,
now
yeah,
because
that's-
of alternative ranges.
That's a bit shit, and I get that.
So
but
for me, the ethical side is almost, and then it's like, 3 years later, oh yeah, guess what? I'm at 4 or 5, whatever it is. We're back into it. I'm like,
but would you,
I'm
if
not.
you had Delta 10 down the track, your UKPF just sits on the shelf. No one buys it.
Yep.
So you go, no, we're going to shit can it. And then you get an email from something. I was just about to start a UKPF force. Which you go, well, yeah, I mean, I hardly sold any of it. It's the least popular faction. I've got all this stuff that I couldn't shift. Is it though? Like,
no, but hang on. They finished the whole game. They just went, that's it. We're not, bang. In fact, we're blowing up the world. See you later.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, if they stopped a range because it wasn't good business, I get that.
But it wasn't
good
business.
Decision.
They weren't selling Tomb King. That's why they canned it. They kept everything else.
But then that goes back to what we've talked about with other instances of our hobby. Gaming clubs, for example, that if they don't reinvent themselves, they don't look at ways of making it new and shiny or appealable. So if they take a faction and just keep a stereotype, they've got to look at altering it somehow. Within confines.
Well, that's almost a self-defeating argument because you're saying we wanted them to keep doing what they were doing, but they need to reinvent it.
Oh no, but hang on, sorry.
I think that's what Age of Sigmar was.
But going back to the original Tomb Kings from the late 80s, it was a skull chucker and a bunch of skellies.
Yeah.
Fast forward, a few years, you got them on horseback. Fast forward another few years, you got the Tomb Guard. Fast forward then another 10 years, whatever, you got the big sphinxes. That to me is progression where, it's new and shiny. So
Poor Bretonians.
yeah, that's right. So you just got to look at, and they were doing that. Had they reached the pinnacle? I don't know because I'm not a game. I'm not a fantasy.
But Warhammer Fantasy as a whole wasn't selling anymore.
Yeah, that's
why they had to hit the hard reset like they did. But I can see where Jacob's coming from. I can see where you're coming from. It was such a sudden sea change.
Yeah.
I think that was the most jarring thing.
You mean the 6-month campaign called the End Times? But
did you know the next game system you're going to play was going to be round bases and you in line of sight and range was measured from the model's weapon? No one knew the game was going to be stripped from a tome that you kill someone with to a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Like that's a massive shift. That isn't an edition change. That is a game change.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was most jarring for a lot of people.
I'd like to make a comparison between two events that G-Dub went through that to me are comparable because I don't... The thing about killing off Tomb Kings as a sectorial or as a faction of mini, whatever, that's commercial, and we've seen that done a bunch of times, and I kind of have to accept that. But the killing of the game, I would compare it to when they stopped supporting Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl was supported by the community for 20 years thereafter, and eventually G-Dub tried to cash in on it again after the fact. Blood Bowl wasn't balanced. Blood Bowl needed community input and third-party assets. But the game was good enough, it was worth it. I abandoned 8th Ed before they blew it up. Because I think it was a shit game. I think it needed to die.
Ooh, harsh words, JT.
That's why they killed it. Because it needed to die. It couldn't support itself. Jacob is unfortunately by himself with 1% of 8th Ed players that wanted to play it after it didn't have a magpie cycle of forcing you to stay on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
As soon as the wheel stopped spinning, 99% of people jumped off straight away. In Blood Bowl, that didn't happen. They didn't even notice the hamster wheel went away.
Yeah.
They just kept playing because it was a good game.
It makes you wonder.
Also, the time period as well.
Correct. There are definitely other factors, but I think it's the only linear comparison I can make.
Yeah. No, it's a fair one. It's a fair one too. It's just... And so that's the thing, like... I don't know. I just, there's nothing wrong with the game if a company stops supporting it.
Definitely.
Not at all.
It doesn't mean you don't play it.
Like I was talking about today with Chad and Jed about playing 5th edition 40k again.
Yeah.
Because that's where 40k hit its pinnacle in my eyes, and I'd happily go back and play that. Even though, it's not going to be a perfect game.
No.
But it was the most perfect version of 40k.
I'd play 5th Ed.
Yeah, it was great.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, back when it was scaled down. Yep.
You rocked up with one army, you had a HQ, 2 troops.
Infantry were relevant.
Up to 3 of everything else. No data sheets, no garbage, anything like that. There wasn't reliant on you rolling 200 d6 in one turn to maybe win, and you probably would. Re-rolling ones. It was a game with some strategic depth. Yes, it's always been a beer and pretzel sort of war game, but it was at least you had to think for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah, you're allowed to enjoy that.
Exactly.
No one can take that away from you, Mike. You're allowed to enjoy 5th Ed.
I know. That's great. But I understand where Jacob's coming from. If this whole mindset of having to move to the next edition is the weirdest thing. And I can't help but think, is the cycle from 6th, 7th, and 8th edition fantasy were people playing fantasy, 8th edition fantasy, because they loved the edition, or only because it was the next big? It was the current cycle of editions.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
If 9th edition came out by GW, not 9th Age, all those people playing 8th edition would have jumped across 9th edition.
Correct.
They wouldn't have stayed in 8th edition, no matter how much you may personally like it.
No, yeah.
Because, it's the next big thing. It's just a shame that 9th edition wasn't a thing, and then the players had nowhere else to go other than 9th Age, and it was a bit of a spiral down from there on in.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because the same happened with 40k.
Exactly.
You're in that G-Dub cycle, and everyone knew every 3 or 4 years there's a new edition coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I guess, if I step back a bit, the way I kind of look at it is I'm not really... Like, I am a G-Dub fanboy. Like, I love the models. I think they do great stuff.
I would love
like
to be
the
as well,
game.
still as well.
But at the same time,
Garage full of
I never... It was not my gaming identity. When they killed the old world, I didn't take it personally. I could step back and look at it from objectively, really. But at the same time, I think that a lot of people got burned like that.
It is weird because we talk about the massive change from 8th to Age of Sigmar. I don't know why people felt compelled to stop playing 8th, because Age of Sigmar is a totally different game.
Correct.
Exactly.
It's like them releasing a new Warhammer game, Warhammer 40k game, and all the 8th edition fantasy players go, no, I can't play it. It's totally different.
I think that's what happened.
That was my point. I don't think the game was robust enough.
Exactly. So
It
they're
was
almost looking for an excuse to jump ship to
Correct.
something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But I think what we noticed certainly at BrizCon and CanCon to a certain extent, Age of Sigmar is a completely different. Well, I wouldn't say completely different. It's a different crowd to what 8th edition was.
Absolutely.
And that was purposely done by GW,
Well,
because the armies and everything looked not completely different, but they're out there, shall we say? They're
Yeah.
off on a tangent.
They're more bizarro fantasy now
Yes.
than traditional high fantasy.
Yeah.
But you look at the average age of an Age of Sigmar player these days; they're completely different to the
they're
average.
young.
They're the
in
new.
their
They're the
20s.
new generation.
Yeah.
But in saying that, Age of Sigmar has only exploded in popularity since the newest incarnation of it. Up until just recently, it was a bad game. Like it was a fun game if you just wanted to roll dice, but beyond that, it had no depth. And only now has it gotten popular because GW have realised they need to have some sort of infrastructure to their rules.
Yeah.
They can't just rely on measuring to the model, not the base, and just other garbage like that that they tried to get away with. And I think it backfired for them a little tiny bit. It almost killed Age of Sigmar as well.
What I'm hoping for with Warhammer the Old World is that it is 3 years down the track. I hope they give it a nice big window. I hope they don't cram heaps of marketing down our throat, but they will.
They will.
They will.
Yeah.
But I also hope by the time we get 3 more years down the track, that the gaming community has continued to diversify.
Yep.
So
3 years is a long time in the gaming world.
And
It is.
this is my genuine hope. I believe that I think if people diversify, they start playing different games, they're exposed to different things, and they realize that, hey, I pick up and play a game that's not super serious, that has some fun shit in it. I've got my model sitting there from 10 years ago.
Yep.
Like, that's going to be an option instead of being butthurt about it. And
Yeah.
I get the rage. I do. And I've said that plenty of time. I don't understand it, but I get it. But I hope that we can go, right, well, you can just crack out a game that's fun.
Yeah.
I hope it's a fun game more than anything else.
Sorry. In line with that, Jacob, I would like to see G-Dub advance as well. And I say this is someone with no vested interest. Like I say, I left 8th Ed before it blew up. I am not the target market for this game, and I accept that. So I'm not bitter about it because it's not for me. It's not being written for me, and that's okay. But if G-Dub came out in 2 years of the 3-year development cycle and they started teasing, it's not pen and paper, it's not got codexes, it's going to have a living rule book, it's going to have a UI interface for your army building and your missions, and they're actually going to skull drag something into the modern age, I'd read it.
It's bizarre that GW haven't pioneered that whole super electronic sort of age because they've got the money to do it.
But they've not needed to.
It's not bizarre. They've held on to their market the old way.
It just feels like there's this whole new way of doing it sitting there they're not capitalizing on.
Oh, correct.
Does it make money for them with a digital?
Dude, there's no money in codexes. Money's in the miniatures. If you've got 10 people in a room, right, and they say, hey, you can spend... To get into this game, you have to spend another $200 minimum on your books, then another $500 on armies, that's another $200 barrier to get those people to come into your door and spend $500.
Yeah.
If you hand wave that $200, you have those people coming to the door,
look,
spending that $200 on more miniatures.
Yeah.
Look, preaching
It's
converted.
a bizarre
but
mindset they've still got.
I think the way it works, and my son is doing it right now, which is just unbelievable. Palm face. It's the classic model of it. It sucks you in. So you buy the starter box and you go, oh, cool, right? And then you buy another box. You go, oh, that's cool. You've only got a few models, and you go, oh, you know what? I'll buy the Codex, the Space Marine Codex. But unbeknownst to you, because you can't read in the shop, well, you can, but you can't really. Oh, I need the Ultramarines Codex or the Dark Angels Codex, which I didn't know about. So, okay, well, I'll get that.
At $90 a pop.
I'll get that, for next birthday. But in between that, from my next pocket money, I'll get this other set. Before you know it, he's got a massive pile of unpainted miniatures upstairs. I'm going, what are you? It's. I've just witnessed it, firsthand. I know exactly that. He wants the Codex for his thing, and I'm just going, it sucks you in, and before you know it.
It could suck you in if the Codex was free. Probably suck you in even more.
Correct.
Hey, look, these Ultramarines really cool. Now I really want
Don't
Ultramarine.
disagree,
Yeah.
but I think the CEO of Games Workshop will go on happy days. Those codexes.
I think the COGW
money.
is just out of touch.
Yeah.
Like,
don't get
100%. Like, they started to go the right way of Age of Sigmar. They had the army builder, and they're like, all right, you buy the data slates, and boom, you don't need a Codex. But you do. You need this. You need that. Oh, and also the digital books you need to unlock the things in our army builder are $60 for a digital PDF.
Do you need glue with that as well?
No, thanks. No, I'm not even aware. I'm not in a Games Workshop store to buy glue. I'm on my iPad sitting in my lounge room. I want to build my
Trying to put this unit in your roster, yeah.
my roster. What do I need? I need to buy these 3 books worth $60 with digital files.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do? I'm going to raise my Jolly Roger and go pirate that stuff instead of people. Instead of making people go and do it illegally, make it legal. Give people the option to download it, and then sell your product. Corvus Belly, going back to Infinity, do it perfectly.
Yeah.
They have hardcover books that people still go and buy, plus all their rules are 100% free. If I want to sell anyone into Aristara Infinity, it's like, hey, guess what? Everything's free online, and they lose their shit.
Yeah.
Especially if they're coming from the Games Workshop boat.
Totally.
You mean I can get this 400-page rulebook for free online? Yep. What's the catch? There is none. The Army Builder.
You will
free.
in your sleep go buy their miniatures. That's the catch.
Yep.
Because they want you to.
Yeah.
So one more point that I want to put out there. We put this out on the Facebook page, asking anyone for questions or some comments or some feedback. 90% of it was butthurt Jedi hate. Let's be real. That's what it was. And I didn't get it. Whatever. I do get it, but whatever. But there was one comment that I found really interesting.
Was a diamond in the rough?
Yeah. So this come from our good friend Testudo Maximus. He says, did they observe other companies' similar games gaining popularity, and do they want to dominate more aspects of tabletop gaming? To that, I would probably say, I don't think so.
No. I think for this product, I would agree with you. I don't think so. I've seen some of their other products, like they're repushing Necromunda, their rebranding of Warcry and all that sort of stuff. I think those are shots in the dark at recapturing little bits of specialist market share.
Yep,
from
agree
other
on
places.
that. Totally. Yep.
This, no.
They're missing a point, though, of the special stuff, is because the special stuff has never targeted their current market, which is 13, 14, 15-year-olds. Special stuff has always targeted people like us.
Yeah.
Problem is, people like us
We know
are
better.
very experienced gamers, and as soon as we pick up a bad set of rules, we go, this is crap, and we put it down. But Necromunda, rules, awful. The current edition of rules are literally missing rules in the rulebook.
Yeah.
The latest reprint of the 2 rulebooks you got in this core box are legitimately missing entire chunks of fundamental rules.
Yeah.
Just have not been edited into the book.
Yeah. Sorry to trigger you over rules, Bank, but
I know.
strictly commercially,
Yeah, sorry.
to answer the question that was asked, for this, no. But for the specialist stuff, commercially, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just can't see GW looking at their Kings of War scene and going, oh, we need back into that.
But they must be conscious of that there is a market there for them.
They know it exists,
Yeah.
but they abandoned that. They wholesale
true.
intentionally abandoned
If
that
they
market.
abandon, then why are they bringing back this new edition of Warhammer Fantasy? Well, who are they targeting with
Yeah,
that?
well,
Are they
that's-
trying to target the Age of Sigmar
Me.
players?
They're targeting me.
Yeah.
They've gone, let's get this gun.
But the fact they haven't called it Warhammer Fantasy is smart because it means it aims it at the current Age of Sigmar players who have never played Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is funny to think, but that's probably more people than we think it is.
As someone who played 5th, 6th, 7th edition Fantasy, I'm curious to see, from a canon point of view, where they plop this in the storyline. Because obviously, again, drawing the obvious comparison, Horus Heresy 40k, the lore was always there. You knew that years and years ago this shit happened, which dictated the universe you're in today. It's generational storytelling. The same thing existed in fantasy. You always had the stories of the old ones and all the gods who came before and all stuff who came before the fantasy storyline kicked off. So I'm curious to see if they go all the way back to that.
That is interesting.
My assumption is they will. That would be the smart marketing grab, right?
Yeah.
All your Lisbon players like Muddi who read about the first gen old ones, yada, 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 yada. They never got to play those. They never existed. But they were the generational storytelling that let 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy exist.
I reckon they'll just go, here's all our lore. Go play our game. Like, I don't think they'll position it. I think
You don't think
they'll
they'll
just
position
say,
it at all? Okay.
I think they'll say, look, this is the history of the old world from some dude named Sigmar getting hit by a hammer. That's how that happened, right?
Yeah.
To some dude named Kaon
Yep.
cracking the shits pretty bad.
Yeah.
And being
Breaking.
a naughty boy.
Yeah.
Like, I think they will just go, and in this old world, these battles took place.
Perhaps.
And you can just go, cool, let's roll.
Yeah, you get everyone with that then. You get people who have veterans like yourselves and new people as well who don't know their old lore.
GW, I am also available for writing
consults,
and other rules. Just gotta pay me.
If you need the helping hand.
Yep.
Which they do. They do.
Do want my name in as many rule books as I can get it. That's my goal in life.
One in a row, you're on a roll.
Yep. One from one. So that's me. And I think we did tangentialize a bit there, but
I think it's something we're all very passionate about, and we're all showing our scars a little tiny bit.
yeah.
Yep. I just want to draw. I made a bit of a couple of comparisons. So, way back in the day, there was we had Hasbro, right? And they made the Transformers movie, the cartoon, which is actually very, very good.
It's not.
It's so good.
I'm
Are
sure
we
it has
talking about
aged
Michael Bay?
atrociously.
No. The 1982.
Oh, the
Transformers
old one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
a relic for the past
70-minute
for a reason.
commercial, man.
it's brilliant. Anyway, the point is,
I'd
guess
rather
what?
watch a Michael Bay one.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime dies. But guess what? They realize they screw it up, so they bring him back to life because they realize, he's just, from a selling point of view, retail point of view, he's just too good a dude to die. You got to bring him back.
So,
Right?
so they read any superhero script between 1940s comic books and yesterday.
And not to poo-poo that analogy a whole lot, it does say in the credits of that film, Optimus Prime will be back.
Okay, anyway. Fast forward.
Dude's a
Hasbro.
truck. Send him in for a service. What are they going to rewire him?
Fast forward. Hasbro, again, make G.I. Joe the movie. Guess what? Cobra Commander dies. But guess what? They bring him back. Right?
No.
It's almost like they want to sell toys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fast forward. Games Workshop. Right? Kill off Necromunda, Blood Bowl, and Epic. Guess what? Necromunda, Blood Bowl, make a scene, and Titanicus, which is kind of like Epic, let's be honest.
Oh,
Kinda.
alright.
Kinda. It's in the genre.
Yeah.
Well, I bought
Come back.
It's epic
Right?
adjacent, I'll give you that.
So, there's a theme. The theme is
What is dead may never die?
don't fucking kill your shit. It's simple. Because you know what?
Nah.
It comes full circle.
No,
No,
this is.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on the
yeah.
other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Don't throw your fucking toys out because they killed it.
Correct. For the commercials,
Because
if
hang
they
on
never,
to it a few years, he's back.
yeah, if they
You don't
never,
need to buy an Optimus Prime toy every time he loses the fucking Allspark.
if you never killed it, they can't bring it back, right? If you just flog the dead horse continually,
Yep.
what you don't kill off, you can't bring back.
Yep.
So I've flipped your analogy on the head. You
Okay,
got-
I've got one last analogy,
Uh-huh.
and this goes with what Mike's been saying. So back in the day, in the 80s, I'm going to say mid 80s. I'm not exactly too sure the date. There was a show called Dallas. I don't know if you recall it, any of yous. It was set in.
I do recall it, but I don't want to show my age. 'cause
Okay,
I
all right.
I
like
wasn't
you being
born,
the
so
old
I'm
one.
good.
So there's a show called Dallas, and it was
Yeah.
about a pinnacle family called Ewings.
Mhm.
That's what it hinged around, the Ewing family, and there were oil barons. in this
It was set
show.
in Dallas, in case you haven't figured that
Yeah,
out.
no, that, yep.
Okay, in this show, there was a dude called Bobby Ewing. Okay, now Bobby was like all the chicks digged him. Like, like if you watch the show, like my mum loved Bobby. She was just
He was a
dead
jock.
set. He was gorgeous.
He was the Fonzie from Dallas. Okay.
He was unbelievable, right?
Yep.
And he was a top dude, like a real nice guy. Guess what happened, Bobby?
Died in a really, really overly played out
Yes,
scene.
he did. He
Probably
died.
drowning.
No, I think he was shot.
Okay, there you go.
So
Whilst
anyway,
drowning.
so what happened? What happened to Dallas ratings? Plummeted.
Yeah.
Right, for I don't know how many years, whatever. And even Mum said it wasn't the same. As soon as Bobby died, it wasn't the same. The show was just not good, right? It was just terrible. So what did the producers do you think?
They brought in another actor who would re-sign the contract, unlike the actor that had to be written out of it because he refused to re-sign the contract, to be his fucking twin brother or some horse shit.
Close.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Close.
It was a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Jacob's right, close but no cigar.
It was a dream.
They bring
Ah,
him
the
back.
cla-
They bring the
Classic
They
dream.
bring the exact same character back, and he wakes up in bed
They
and goes,
fucking Wizard of
"Past
Oz
3
did."
years has just been a dream."
Yep.
So I'm with Mike, unfortunately, being the cynic. And after that, the show wasn't the same because everyone just went, "I've just watched 3 years of drivel. Are you kidding me? It was just crap."
Yeah.
And
So
that's it.
self-entitlement has been around since the 80s. That's good to know.
So
I was
just,
was thinking it was a modern curse, but
Yeah.
I just want to leave that with you.
3 years of free entertainment for nothing.
Yeah.
Being lied to. It was just a dream.
Mate,
It's
some,
just a dream.
some people spend their entire marriages being lied to.
It was also the dream.
It's not a dream. But as far as she knows, it's average size. All right, gents, on that note, we might end it there. Any final thoughts, Mr. JT?
No, nothing constructive. I'm all out.
Mr. Mike, anything?
I think I've been triggered enough tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for your contributions, especially the Defiance stuff. So really keen to see how that plays out over the next couple of years. And
Big
to
ditto.
get it in our hands.
I'm impressed you managed to go the episode without making the usual an established company went to pre-order starter yada 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 speech.
Here
So
it
if you
comes.
want, just get it in now quickly before we
It's-
close the show.
Now
It was
that
inevitable.
Yeah.
No.
It's funny you should mention
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
no, I'm done. I'm done. Now that I've helped bring a successful Kickstarter to life.
Who knows what the future might bring?
Exactly.
Don't bite the
Yeah.
hand. Something.
something. So yeah, check us out on Kickstarter.
Oh, did you hear that? Warhammer Old World is going to get Kickstarter.
Good. I'm black and
Could you
platinum,
imagine that?
and I am getting all the goodies. Greg, any final thoughts?
No, I'm done. Good. It was,
All right.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, and we miss you, Muddi. Get well soon, mate. Or hope you're not working next time, one or the other.
Get better. He's not sick. He could just do better.
Oh,
know what he's
dude, he's fully sick. What are you talking about?
He's forgoing his PSG requirements to play RPGs in
Yeah.
his Greek uniform.
Oh, yeah,
What
fuck him. All right, good night.
Thanks for listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. Subscribe and review. You know you love us.
It's the most important thing.
Oh, you guys are back in.
Are we?
Yeah, you back in.
Are we really?
Yeah,
I just
I can
wanna
tell by your eyebrows you're back in.
We said the same thing about fucking
Titanicus.
Sisters of Battle and Titanicus, though.
Exactly. I have got self-control.
That's a lie.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
do.
looking at a giant shelf of square bases.
Yes.
I'm not looking at a giant shelf of Adeptus
And you know what?
Titanicus or Sisters.
They're not glued in. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm just
They're
saying.
not glued in.
You're in.
No Kings of Ball.
No.
Mm.
Nope. Kings of Boar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't waste these bands. Have a good segment.
poor.
Jesus.
Oh, recording.
What are you talking about?
This is gold.
Introduced anything, man.
Just let them work it out.
That's what bumpers are for, man.
We've got an outro now.